I got to admit, I'm pretty psyched for
You're
this.
all, I know you said I got all this research. I'm ready to go. And I'm like,
I've got research. I've got some research.
a monster by creating the quiz show episode.
No, it just means that these will be the two highest production value for our podcast. And then after that, it's going to tank. Hello, and welcome to the show with no name. My name is Daniel. His name is B. And B, you're sitting in my living room right now. It's a little weird.
As long as you're still in your house. Like if I was in your living room and you weren't here, or your apartment, I guess to be is correct, it would be very awkward.
That would be a little awkward.
Like you're somewhere else, and I'm like, I'm recording live from Daniel's living room.
So for those of you that don't know who listen to our show, this absolute ridiculous abomination of a show, we live not just in two different locations, we live in two different time zones. I hail from the central time zone in Texas, and Brendan is currently living in the DC metropolitan area. Well, I mean, kind of the outskirts, but, you know, around that area. So different time zones, different locations, all connected through the power of the internet and love. And right now, he's just gave me a fist bump. Or not a fist bump, but he raised his fist in the air, and I would have bumped it if I could reach him, but he's a little farther away. So we got to be honest, we're not 100% sure how well this is going to work, just because we know that our microphones are going to be picking up each other. So this is kind of a first time doing something like this. I could sit in the other room, but it would kind of take away from the experience, especially being able to look over. See, he's smiling at me right now. Just to be able to look over and see you in my living room.
You gave me that Instagram pump, that point, like, yeah, you out in the stands that I'm singing to.
And for those that don't know us, I mean, we've known each other for a long time now, and we haven't seen each other in a long time. Tonight's the first night we've seen each other, and it's been a little over a year. I went and visited you about a little over a year ago, so which I loved it. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It was good having you too.
And it's good to have you back in San Antonio.
It's awesome to be here. It really is.
All right,
it's warm. It's warmer. I know you guys think it's cool.
It is cold here right now.
It's really it's much warmer.
It is. I know it's warmer than other locations, but for Texans, this is too cold. I mean, actually, to be honest with you, I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't want it to stay like this forever. So
agreed.
But with that in mind, like most shows, Brendan, I have a question for you tonight. But actually, I have several questions for you. And so
it's like deja vu all over again.
So like last time, which I actually just listened to the episode today, or at least I listened to part of it, like our last episode, you decided to put me up on a game show. And you gave me some terms and some slangs and some things that are considered proper. And so I figured, well, I think it might be time that I kind of flip the tables around on you and put you through something else. So this is going to be the second game show episode of the show with no name. I have some papers here. You can probably hear them in my hands.
I've created a monster.
So what we're going to do... So, Brendan, so there's something about...
I can't see them. Just
you can't see it yet. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, you're going to give it to me.
I'm going to give you a piece of paper here.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give you one. It's not got the answers on it. I'm giving you something...
Like just draw on whatever.
If you want
a house.
I'm going to give you a piece of paper here. And what's going to be on this paper... So, for those of you that don't know, B, and this hasn't really come out in the show yet, but one of the things you... love English, and you love people using proper and correct English and correct phrases, and you don't like it when you hear somebody, you know, do something incorrect. And you're like my mom in the sense, and my mom really does do this. Where I kind of joke,
SATs,
you are like a grammar Nazi. You are the first person to jump on people, and there is one in particular. And we'll discuss it here in just a moment. There's one in particular that you taught me the proper way of saying it. And you and I are the only two people I know on this planet that say it that way. So even though it is grammatically correct, we still sound like we're incorrect because we're the only two people saying it that I know of. And that's, of course, the word anyway.
That's correct.
Everybody I know, and people who are listening to this are probably like, you're an idiot. Everyone I know says anyways. And
I hate that.
Here's an interesting fact. I want to start with that one here for just a moment. Here's an interesting fact. Anyways is actually considered acceptable now.
Really?
Because of how much it's used, it's actually considered acceptable. Even though grammatically it's supposed to be anyway, they accept both now in the English language, and either one is acceptable as an acceptable answer. I found that interesting. I don't hear anybody use the word anyway, but ever since you did it, now that's all I can do. I don't say anyways, and anytime I see someone say it, spell it, write it, type it, text it, whatever it is, I always immediately associate it with you're wrong, it's anyway. And that's all thanks to you.
It's not so much me wanting to be right about grammar. It's just so much me wanting to be right and tell other people they're wrong.
Okay, all right. Well, with that in mind, here's what we're going to do.
Oh, no.
In my hand, what I have here is I have 20 words or phrases. Okay? We're only doing 20 of them. It's not going to be... I do have 2 pages worth of material, but it's not kind of the same thing. So I've got 20 words or phrases. All of these are either the correct way of spelling or correct use of the phrase, or they're incorrect. I'm going to give you the piece of paper. I'm going to hand this over to you. So here you go.
Got it.
So I just handed him a piece of paper with 20 things on it. And we're going to go down in order. And I have the answers here as well as the alternate version of whatever it is. If it is correct, then I'll give you the one that's more commonly used in today's day and age that's incorrect. If it's not correct, then I'll give you the correct answer. So we're just going to run
Okay, so
down
I got to
the
guess whether these are actually...
You're going to guess whether these are correct use of English or not. And if you notice that there at the very top, we're going to give you the first one for free.
Right, anyway.
If you get, I have a prize for you if you win. Okay? So that, for those of you that don't know, Brendan's here because of the holidays. So I have this thing of Tic Tacs over here. These are holiday twist Tic Tacs. I think I got these like 2 years ago. They've been sitting in my pantry.
To mint, right?
Huh?
You know I'm allergic to mint.
Oh, well, I know, but these have been sitting in my pantry for about 2 weeks anyway. Or 2 months, I'm sorry, 2 years anyway. It's not so much the eating of the Tic Tacs.
The potency has died? Is that what
Exactly. It's not so much the eating of the Tic Tac, it's more just the enjoyment of having a prize of actually...
No, I agree. That's true.
It's a holiday special.
Re-gift them. And by the way, Tic Tac is grammatically incorrect.
Well, I'm reading it off of the box, all right?
No, I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
All right, so here we go. So here's the thing.
Tic-tac-toe.
If you get, so there's 20 on here. I'm going to give you, last time we did this, you gave me the opportunity if I got like 2/3 or something like that, I won, which I didn't do. I failed horribly. I'm going to be nicer than that, all right? If you get 50% of these correct, then you'll get the Tic Tacs. That you can eat.
That's worth it. This is fair.
So 50%. So and you get the first one for free. So I'm pretty confident in this that you're going to get the first one for free. So you already got 1 of 10 already. All right. You only have to get 9 more of these 20 of the 19 that are left that we have to go through.
So So I just want to be sure it's not just a matter of these are grammatically correct or incorrect, but some of them could be spelled improperly.
Some of them could be spelled incorrectly. So that's the other thing. So they're either grammatically correct. So there are 10 that are, I will give you a hint, there are 10 that are right and there are 10 that are wrong, okay? So that's one thing you should know. So that's one thing, that's a helpful hint. 10 of these will be right, 10 of these will be wrong. I'm hoping you're not going to keep count along the way, so that way it won't make it, it won't make it too easy for you.
I would have counted prior to this, but okay.
But here we go. Let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with the very first one, which again, that one is anyway. And the first thing, Brendan, is that a correct use of the word? And do you need it in a sentence?
Oh, do you want me to? So if it's correct, if I say
no,
yes,
you don't have
correct.
to put it in a sentence. Yeah, you just say it's correct or not.
Correct.
This is correct. Absolutely. No, you are correct. The common misconception and most people use is the word anyways. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Next one is first come, first serve. Is this grammatically, do you need this in a sentence?
So I would say this is incorrect.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to say it's incorrect is because the case is off from first come to first served.
Okay.
I believe it's a past tense thing.
Past tense as in you're believing that it's spelled incorrect? Is that what you're saying? That it's spelled incorrectly? You said it's the wrong tense, so what do you... I
guess it would be.
What's the suggestion?
I guess it would be spelled incorrectly because, because it would be First come, first serve. Is it first come, first serve, or first come, first served? No, I'll say it's correct. I'll say this is correct.
You're saying this is correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying the word first come, first serve, just so you know how we're spelling it. First come with a comma and then first serve in the present tense of serve, not
Right.
served, and that's what you were commenting on, you were saying. All right, so I'll tell you, that's incorrect. So it is, you were on the right track. I'm surprised you backed out of it.
I did, I was like...
You had the right answer, too. The correct, so this is incorrect. First come, first serve is one of the most miscommonly used phrases, and it's actually first come, first served. If you say first come, first serve, that's suggesting that you are the first person to arrive at a place, and you're also the first person to serve anyone else who follows. So that is incorrect. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Next one is deep-seated.
That's correct. Deep-seated with a... Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so again, we are incorrect on this one. Deep-seated, and I'm sorry, you guys can't see the spelling of this. It's an incorrect word choice. It's actually deep-seated with a T-E-D. Deep-seated is not correct. The reason it should be deep-seated is this is to indicate that something is firmly established, although deep-seated might seem to make sense, indicating that something is planted deep in the ground. This is not the correct expression. All right, we're going to move on. So far, we're 0 for 2. Well, no, you get the first one for free, so you're 1 for 3. 1 for 3, all right. So let's go on to the next one. The next one is extract revenge.
So this one is wrong. It's not extract, it's exact revenge.
Hang on a second, I got to look at this. You are correct. I put this one down as it was right, but you're correct. I'm sorry. You are correct. It is exact revenge, not extract. To extract something would be to remove it like a tooth. The correct expression is exact revenge. You're correct. I had this one on my paper marked down as that's right, but I don't know why, because you're correct. You're 100% correct. In fact, even my description tells me that I'm wrong.
You get it off Wikipedia. That's why.
Okay, so maybe 10 of these are not right and 10 of these are not wrong, so there might be some mixed ones in here. I do have the descriptions underneath them.
You have the teacher's key?
I have the teacher's key, so I'll be able to tell you if if one of these is incorrect. All right, so we're going to go on to the next one. The very next one after that one is the phrase "I could care less," as in I could care less about this situation.
So this is incorrect, because if you could care less, then you would actually be caring less. It's I couldn't care less.
Oh man, his English roots are starting to show through.
No,
he is correct.
Now I can't embarrass myself.
He is correct. The phrase is not "I could care less," it's "I couldn't care less." Although this is another one of those ones that's commonly misused on Facebook post tweets and wonderful things like that. Which, by the way, we got locked out of our Twitter account. I still haven't been able to get in there yet. So if you've been sending messages to our Twitter account,
awful of us.
we don't have them right now. I'm hoping I'll get in by the end of this week, but I haven't spent a lot of time looking into it.
You see, you would think that it would be me who got us locked out, since I don't know anything about it, but I don't even do it. I don't deal with it.
Nope, it's my fault. So I'll take full responsibility on that one. All right, so the next one we're moving on to is shoo-in, and the way we're spelling this, just so you know, is S-H-O-O, and then there's a hyphen, and then the word in, I-N, shoo-in, as in LeBron James' transformation to the NBA was a shoo-in.
So I'm going to go with my gut and say that this is spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
Because I want to say it's shoe, S-H-O-E, as in shoe in the door, but I don't think that's where the roots of this comes from. So I'm just going to go with this is incorrect.
You're going to say that this is incorrect.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So actually this is correct. This is the correct spelling of this word. So shoe-in actually is spelled S-H-O-O-N. The common misconception is that it is spelled in the way that you had mentioned just a minute ago, which is shoe-in, S-H-O-E, that suggests a door-to-door sales practice of moving a foot into the doorway to make it more difficult for a prospective client to close the door.
Yeah, so that way is a totally different meaning from shoe-in, where shoe-in is like it's easy. He's a shoo-in.
Yes.
He's guaranteed. Whereas a shoo-in...
Shoo-in actually means that it's difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
That you're trying to get
in.
in. Exactly. So people use it in the exact opposite way of what it's intended to be.
So this is number 7.
That was number 7.
That was 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4,
1,
5, 6.
2, well, you got to count anyway up there at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, that was number 6. And so far, you have gotten 2. You've gotten 3 right, actually, because you got anyway for free. So you're 50%. Right now, you're on track to win these Tic Tacs.
That's right. That's just got to get for 50.
That's right. You just got to get 50. I was being nice. I'm only making you get 50% of these, all right? All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. The next one is immigrated from, as in I immigrated from Ireland to the United States. And I use that because...
so it's immigrated, so the E is actually to come out of, whereas if you spell it with an I, it would be to go into.
Okay. So you believe this is a spelling error?
No, I believe it's actually correct.
Oh, you believe this is correct?
Yeah, because if you immigrated from a place, it means EM, as in you came out of that place.
Mm-hmm.
From, right?
Okay.
As in I went into from
yes.
the place.
Okay.
No, hold on. That's tricky. I should go with my gut. I'm going to go with my gut and say this is correct.
You are 100% correct, and you were even commenting on what most people commonly misspell this for. Most people say I immigrated to, spelling it, saying I immigrated to the United States or something of that nature, spelling it with an E, but that's incorrect. When you immigrate, spelled with an E, immigrate, that means you came from somewhere. So it has to be immigrated from. If you say immigrated to, that's incorrect. So good job on that one. All right, so you're ahead of the game right now. We are at 4 of 7 so far, so we're doing great. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one, this one is probably pretty familiar for people who play video games, because this is a perk for people who play first-person shooter games. It usually means that you can reload faster, and that is the phrase sleight of hand. Note that sleight of hand is spelled S-L-I-G-H-T, of O-F, and then hand, as in your hand. So sleight of hand.
So I want to say, again, I'm going to go with my gut, that this is spelled incorrectly. That slight is spelled incorrectly. That's not the proper slight that you would use for this phrase, sleight of hand.
Okay.
Because this is like insult.
I got to be honest, I think I was maybe a little more cocky about going into this than I thought, and I thought you weren't going to get this. I thought for sure you weren't going to get this one, because I looked at it and I was like, oh, it looks good to me. But you're 100% correct on that. Slight is spelled incorrectly here, and maybe I shouldn't have noted how it's spelled, but I guess I'm just doing that for the listeners.
No. So, not to boast, but I think it's got an E in it. If I'm correct.
You are correct.
Yeah, okay.
It's the correct spelling of sleight of hand is S-L-E-I-G-H-T. The way that I have it spelled here, S-L-I-G-H-T, is a noun, meaning insult. An insult. So you were correct on that. So saying sleight of hand and spelling it with an S-L-I-G-H-T is saying insult of hand, if you will, which is not exactly, correct. Anyway. All right, the next one we're going to move on to is, it's the next one on the list here. The next one I've got here on the list is homed in, as in I am really homed in on my science project at this time. And we have it homed as in like it's spelled exactly how you think it might be spelled, your home, H-O-M-E with a D on the end and then I-N, homed in.
Yeah, this is a tough one. So is it like homed in like a homing beacon, or is it honed in like H-O-N?
Well, again, I used it as in a sentence. I'm homed in on my science project. I don't know if that helps out at all.
No, I heard that. There's a part of me that's like, I think this is wrong, but there's another part of me, it's like the math part of my brain is thinking, the odds are that it's correct. But I'm like, I don't think that's correct, man. I'm going to go with it is correct.
You're going to go with it is correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you would be taking a very lucky guess in saying that is correct, because that is the correct spelling of that.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Hone means to sharpen, and most people use this phrase incorrectly. Most people say that they're honed in on something, but that's incorrect. You can't say that you're honed in on something. You can say that you're honing something because you're sharpening it, but you cannot say honed in. If you say the word hone and you follow it with in, it actually needs to be replaced with the word homed in.
That was a tough one, because I actually did another one. I was thinking, oh my gosh, that was a guess. It was a lucky guess. It was an educated guess.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. The next one we have here is sneak peek, as in I saw a sneak peek of that new Star Wars movie, and oh my God, doesn't that movie look great? We find a way to get Star Wars into every episode, I think.
Sneak peek.
Just so you know how sneak and peek are spelled for our listeners, it's SNEAK, peek, PEEK. Sneak peek.
I'm going to say this one is also correct.
Is that your final answer?
This is my final.
Man, I was way too cocky about this. You are correct. Sneak peek is spelled correctly, and this was another one of those ones that I was trying to catch you on the spelling. Most people who spell this out commonly misplace peek, P-E-E-K, with P-E-A-K. This is a very common, in fact, it's probably, in doing my research, this was like number 12 on the most like misused phrases in the English language. But you are doing fantastic right now. I think you have, I think like 7 out of 11 or something like that. We're pretty close to that. You missed 3.
Yeah, I missed the...
I don't think you missed any past that point.
After the freebie, I missed the first 2. I know that. And an extractive range. Shoo-in, I missed Shoo-in.
You missed Shoo-in. So yeah, you've missed 3 so far, and we're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
wow.
9, 10. So we've gone through just 10, and you so far have gotten 7 out of 10. That's incredible. That's really good. I have to be honest. I'm a lot more impressed with that than I thought I would be. That's really good.
So I need to aim for 3 more, so I can aim low now.
You can aim pretty low. You can pretty much take some guesses here on some of these.
Tic Tacs. I just need 3 for Tic Tacs.
All right, the next one on my list is actually on 2 different pieces of paper. That's how long this description is. So I'm going to have to flip the page here after I'm done reading what it is. But the phrase is whet your appetite, as in I saw that meatloaf and it whet my appetite. That's not a great sentence.
I don't know anybody whose appetite is whetted by
After seeing a meatloaf, my appetite was what? That's a bad way of putting it.
I saw that Bambino Huey, and man, oh man.
This one is spelled. This one's spelled pretty much exactly how you would think it would be spelled. Whet your appetite. W-E-T your Y-O-U-R, and then appetite. A-P-P-E-T-I-T-E. There are no incorrect spellings of anything. I mean, incorrect as in there are incorrects for phrases, but not any words that don't exist. In other words, like everything that's in here, the words do exist. So
I think this one actually is incorrect, and the wet should be spelled W-H-E-T. Is that correct?
Okay. So you're saying that we need to replace the word wet and replace it with another wet, but spell it with W-H-E-T.
Exactly.
Man, I cannot believe you got this one right. This one, that's... I should have changed. I should have been like you. I should have been like, you need to get a passing grade. Which so far you're still passing. You're 8 of 11. But I am really surprised on that one. So this one is in the top 5 incorrect phrases in the English language. Although the expression whet your appetite seems to make sense because, you could salivate at the thought of, something very delicious. The word actually is whet, meaning to sharpen or to stimulate, spelled W-H-E-T. It's a very common...
Like a whetstone.
Exactly. So, anyway, that's pretty incredible. I'm going to...
Too bad I couldn't score this good like when I was taking like my GREs and my SATs. Because when I was... back then, because they had everything, like you'd have like
I don't even remember these types of things on the... but maybe they were. Maybe these types of things were... All right, so we're on to the next one. The next phrase, one and the same, as in me and Brendan, we're one and the same.
These are some really good. So I'm looking at these, and I've looked ahead some, and I'm like, these are some really good. These are some good ones that you picked.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
One and the same. Yeah, I don't really have a clue on this one, so I'm just going to say that this one is correct.
You're going to say that this one is correct?
Yeah, I'm going to say this is correct.
So this one is actually incorrect. So one and the same is a pretty commonly used phrase when people are referring to 2 people or 2 things that are similar, but the actual phrase and the proper phrase is actually one and the same.
Yeah.
Saying
that's right.
One in the same literally means that one thing would be inside the other thing. So using this phrase is incorrect. And yeah, I'm sorry. But I mean, on the plus side, that's only the 4th one you've missed. 4 out of 12 is pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible though. All right, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is by and large. I can't think of a phrase to use this.
Yeah,
in.
you know why I can't think of a phrase? I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? By and large, to buy in large quantities.
There's a phrase I've heard it before, and I've heard it in phrases, and I'm mad because I thought I had a sample phrase here. I don't have a sample phrase. I didn't have a sample phrase for all of these, and so that's why some of these phrases really do suck.
So no, when I did the show, the last show when I made up terms, I thought about saying one of the rules would be you could ask me, can you use it in a sentence? But then I would have to make up sentences for all the words that I made up. And I'd be like, I don't know. What is this supposed to be? What kind of sentence could I put in this?
You know, the one that still gets me, and it was a right one, too. It wasn't one you made up, was King's Foot. That still throws me. I love that phrase now.
No, it was King's Toe.
King's Toe, I'm sorry. No, you're right. King's Toe. I like King's Toe.
Blackfoot was the one I made up.
Blackfoot, and
King's Toe
that
was
one
the
did
real,
sound.
yeah.
That one did sound
My
fake.
King's Toe, man. All right, so by and large.
This actually there is a literal translation for this, and I do have that written down here. It is a nautical phrase, and it stands for in general. So, by and large, these barrels are big. That's the only thing.
By and large, the ship's going that way.
This is a phrase, by the way. You've never heard this phrase before?
No, I've heard it. I'm like, what does it mean?
I can't. I know. I'm sorry. I wish I could. It means in general. I just can't think of. I can't think of a good sentence.
I'm asking. Yeah, it's somewhat a rhetorical question. This is correct.
This is correct?
This is correct. That's doubling down. That's my final answer.
Okay. So I have to be honest. I really probably shouldn't have put this one behind the one before it, because this is incorrect for the same reason. It's not by and large, it's by and large. And it is a nautical term, so I'm sorry for pulling out a really old English phrase, but this is a phrase and people use it all the time. People say by and large, but it's incorrect. It's actually by and large.
So did they have did they ever explain why it was?
Yeah, let me see what it says. Derived from sailings. Oh, it's because it is a nautical phrase. It's derived from sailing terms, which is the term by and large. So, but they don't have anything to do with each other. So they are just literal translations of things that are general on a ship. So saying by and large, not by in large.
So that's interesting because, so those must be like super, super old terms, because my dad's a retired Navy captain, and he used to own this, I think it was like a 32-foot sailboat.
Okay.
And so he would take my brother and I out there when we were teenagers a lot of times, and we would sail. So I'm familiar with a lot of the nautical terms.
I have heard nautical terms before too. This must be a very old one.
We're gonna, I forget some of the terms, but if I heard them, I'd be like, that's for sailing. And so I'm just looking at this thinking, no idea.
Sure. Well, hey, you had a 50-50 chance on the guess. So, and you got to think about it this way. The English language has been around for forever. And these are just some of the things that we have changed that, are not the original, versions. And I have to admit, I think this is probably the only one that goes, that goes really far back. I don't think any of the other ones I have on here go that far back, which, by the way, we are more than halfway through, but this was the fifth one that you missed. This is 5 out of 13. So we're starting to tank here. We gotta make sure that we level out. You still gotta make, oh, wait a minute. Wait, if you've made 5 out of 13, that means you've made, you made 8. Oh, no, wait, am I doing my math wrong?
So
you've made 7. No, that's 8. Yeah, 8 correct. You've made 8 correct. So you just have to make 2 more. You got to make 2 more of the ones that we have left here. 2 out of the 7 you have to make.
So I already see some of these. I'm like, I know that one.
So let's go on to the next one. So, okay. So you're making sure you're secure. So
I didn't.
So you could just give out just blank guesses.
I didn't try to do that. I looked at the when you first handed this to me, I thought, what the heck? And I started going through this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know what this is. And there was a few of them where I'm like, I know for a fact that one. And the other ones, I'm like, well, those all look good.
All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is peace of mind, as in you give me peace of mind.
Yeah, this is true because the way the word peace is spelled as opposed to Piece.
That is correct, and that was what I was gonna touch on. Is that this is a commonly misused phrase. Most people use this as peace of mind, as in like an actual piece of their mind. Whereas peace of mind is actually just giving you peace, and it should be spelled as in the word peace, as in like world peace, that type of stuff.
That's right.
All right,
yeah,
moving on. That was a pretty easy one. Let's be honest. That was a pretty easy one.
But I could see how people would spell it the other way.
Oh, no, I can see how people can spell it. And see, that's the interesting thing is a lot of these ones that are on here, it's not that the other way is incorrect in the sense that it doesn't make sense.
Right.
They make sense. It's just, that's not the phrase.
Exactly.
That's incorrect, and it would not be accepted in an English term or I mean, like a term paper or something like that.
Yeah, this is an enlightening episode. This is really good.
Well, I mean, it's more enlightening for us because we get to see the words. Maybe if we post this on YouTube, like we'll put the word, yeah, we should do that. We should put the phrases up there. That's probably a good. See, we have great ideas when we're on the air. Why don't we have great ideas when we're off? I'm just, we have zero great ideas as soon as the show stops recording. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is piqued my interest, as in this episode piqued my interest. And it's spelled Peaked, my for my, and interest, interest. Piqued my interest.
Okay, so this one is correct.
Okay. And that's your final answer?
That's my final answer.
This one is actually incorrect. It's actually the incorrect use of the word peaked. Peaked actually means that it's like the top. It's the very top. So it could be, and so again, it's not that this is, that it's incorrect. It could be used that way, but the actual word is pique, as in Pique, as in you aroused my interest. That's what the word pique means. And so piqued my interest actually is supposed to be spelled Piqued. So right now, go ahead.
So no, but this one makes, like you were saying, this one makes sense because you peaked, you crested, like the peak, like the top of a peak. It's you crested my interest, right?
Exactly.
So I'm totally
exactly
now, but peaked, Pique.
Exactly. But the problem is that when people use this phrase, they're using it as in, oh, you've piqued my interest, as in I'm excited about what's coming next. Whereas if you use the word peaked, Peaked, you're like, you've piqued my interest, as in I'm done with you. I've made it all the way to the top. There's no more interest left.
You've peaked.
All right. The next one up is runners up, as in I was the runners up in, or here are the runners up for the decathlon. That's a exercise thing.
Yeah, runners up. I don't think this is plural.
This is intended to be plural, by the way.
Oh, it is intended to be plural.
This is intended to be plural. As in, here's gold and everybody else are the runners up.
That's incorrect. Double down.
This one is actually correct. The phrase runners up, it's the plural is the actual runner, not the location. Ups would imply the direction of where the people are located. So the commonly used phrase is runner ups, with an S on the end of the ups, but the actual correct phrase of the plural for runner up is runners up.
So runners up is it? Okay. What do people say? They say runner.
People commonly say runner ups, like the runner ups.
Really? I never heard of ups plural. Wow. Ups.
These, by the way, these things that we found, these you can find all the ones that I found.
I see what you mean. They would say that those are the runner-ups. Yeah, I've never heard that. Wow. Okay.
By the way, most of these things can be found on Inc.com. So thank you, Inc.com, for not sponsoring this this podcast, but giving me a lot of the information that I needed for this. There was a couple of other sources. I'm sorry I don't have them, but if we do post this, we'll have, in the description, we'll list where we got some of this information from. The next one is hunger pangs, as in I have hunger pangs because I'm really hungry.
That's correct.
That is correct. Again, this one is actually kind of interesting. It's because the spelling of it, it's hunger pangs, Pangs. Most people say hunger pains, and although that is a perfectly sensible phrase to use for the feeling of pain that you may have when you haven't eaten for a prolonged period of time, hunger pangs is the actual original phrase indicating sharp jolts you feel from hunger. This one I actually knew prior to doing this.
Really?
Which is funny because I still say, I get hunger pains. Like, I'll still say it the other way. I'll still say it the other way knowing that it's wrong, but it is acceptable. Again, like I said, this one is acceptable by the English language.
So, I sometimes say I could care less, even though I know. I'm like, yeah, I got to stop myself. I'm like, it's not, I could care.
I couldn't care less that you use I could care less correctly. just so you know. All right, next one we have is wreak havoc, as in I want to wreak havoc, or I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing this incorrectly. This is actually wreak havoc. I apologize. Spelling is W-R-E. My goodness, I'm doing really bad here towards the end. W-R-E-A-K havoc, Havoc. I am wreaking havoc.
So like cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war. So this is correct because it's not wreak havoc, it's wreak havoc.
Yes, and I realized by my pronunciation of the first one and then stepping back on it, I almost feel like I gave that away. Maybe you would have gotten it on your own, maybe not. But the common misconception is that most people say wreak havoc, which would actually be the opposite of what you're intending to use by the phrase. If you wreak your havoc, it means you did bad, you weren't able to havoc. If you wreak havoc, it means you are inflicting havoc on others, and that is what most people use that phrase for. We are almost finished. We've got 2 more to go. We're past the time of when we would normally stop, so let's try to blow through. Well, I don't want to blow through them, but let's move through these pretty quickly. The next one is case and point, CASE, and point, POINT.
So this is actually case.
If it helps out at all, this was derived from Old French. I don't know if that helps out at all. So originally French, translated
French.
to English.
I failed on the peak, c'est bon. So I want to say this is case in point.
Double down, final answer.
Yeah, we're doubling down with case in point. We got to move the show along. Case in point.
Case in point. Case in point, you are correct. It is case in point. It's commonly misused as case and point, but that is correct. It's actually case in point, not and.
They're like, that's my case.
That's right.
Shutting it and give me a point.
That's right. All right, we're on to the final one. The final one of this is scot-free, as in I got out of this scot-free. Scot is spelled S-K-O-T, free, F-R-E-E. B, is this correct or an incorrect
So
phrase?
I could be really cheesy and I could go back and count them, but I'm not going to do that, right? Because I could be like, oh, these 9 were correct.
You could. You
But I'm not gonna do it.
absolutely.
That's not. I don't think
you absolutely could.
I think that's cheesy, and I think I already made the 50% marker.
You already did.
So I think it's scotch-free.
Okay.
Like you're going to have some scotch, or the Scotch were freed from England with the help of the mighty Irish. So it's scotch-free.
So here's the funny one about this one. Although this one is sourced, as in my information where I got this one comes from a very reputable online and printed magazine.
Wikipedia.
It's not Wikipedia. The origin of where this phrase comes from is unknown.
Really?
But the spelling of it...
So it's not.
The spelling of it is correct. It was originally spelled scot-free, S-K-O-T, and that's it. Scotch-free and scot-free with 2 T's. There's no known source or no old material where that's used. It's only used from, like the 1900s moving forward. But prior to that, the word scot-free was a phrase that people used in a sentence like, I got out scot-free.
So nobody knows where it came from.
Nobody knows
where it came from. Where it came from. Wonderful. Like we're doing a whole episode on grammar and I can't even speak properly.
No,
and
no, I'll be honest.
It's scot-free.
I'll be honest. I didn't try to do any more research on that. I should have, because it probably would have been much more interesting to end the episode that way. But then again, this is the show with no name. We don't do that type of stuff. Here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, you easily got 50% or more.
Yay. Toss me some Tic Tacs.
I'm going to toss you these Tic Tacs that you can't eat.
So if there isn't an episode next week, it's because I died from these since I'm allergic to them.
Any final words on this probably more educational one that we've ever done?
I had fun. This was really well done because you told me on the phone, you're like, oh, I did research and I got a thing for it. And I'm like, oh
apparently
my gosh,
I didn't
now
do
what
much
quiz
research.
Did I have to do? This was well done, and I like the way that you did it, where you go, see, I didn't tell you told me 10 of these are right and 10 of these are wrong. Like so I did the quiz. I didn't tell you.
I could have been more mean than that.
I could, you could have just said, you could have, I never even thought to tell you, by the way, 6 of these are incorrect.
I figured it'd make most sense to make half of them right, half of them wrong. Almost like a true
One
false.
of them is only spoken of in Liverpool or Eastern London.
One of them fought and died for his country.
Bonger or whatever.
His name was Scot-Free.
Well
here's what I will say. As soon as we stop recording, I am going to look up Scot-Free again and see if I can't find more stuff about it, because I'm pretty sure someone probably found something somewhere and, is probably like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't know that came from this and this.
That's
and this.
the name of our episode. Episode 7.
Episode 7, Scot-Free.
The Search for Luke.
Are we on episode 7 right now?
Right? Isn't it? No, well, episode
I don't know what
7.
number. I mean, it doesn't. Well, we never know. Who knows if we,
That's true. We could backlog these.
we can backlog these as long as we want. We can hold on.
But
to
you know what? We don't have to release them.
them.
Who says we have to release them in order?
We have to release.
Episode
Yeah, who says we
24.
have to release any of these?
Lucas didn't release an order.
That's right. As far as we know, this is episode 1 right now. This is episode 1, the Phantom Podcast.
That's right. And they're all like, what other episodes are they referencing to? I don't understand. I have nothing else to add. I've done enough.
Well, I have to say this was a lot of fun. I wish that we could do more where you're sitting in my living room,
I know.
but that's simply not the case. I wonder what the audio is going to sound like.
I live several hundred miles away.
I hope this worked.
Commute is awful. I hope it worked too.
Well, I guess
there were
we'll
times
find
where
out.
I'm like looking at you, and so my voice. Is
Yeah,
actually
I did too, but I
headed
tried to
towards
like
your
move
mic.
my head back.
And there's other times where I'm looking back.
Yeah, you know what? We're not radio professionals. It doesn't have to be
This
perfect.
is for fun.
And a lot of ours are pretty good so far. So you know what? The general public can deal with it. That's right. Kiss those muscles. They can deal with it. Well, B, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for sitting in my living room. Thanks for traveling so far just to be a part of this show.
I had fun. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
You can reach us on Twitter if I can ever log in and answer questions for you guys. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for listening in, and we hope you'll listen in soon.